Hey there, Vinyl Groovers. Welcome back. It's Sunday, and I promised you something special this time. I promised you a little intrigue, a little mystery, and a little bit of, I did not know that. So stick around, and you're going to see exactly what it is I'm talking about. Hey guys, welcome back. I told you when we last saw each other on Monday, I had an album to talk about that I thought you might enjoy, dealing with intrigue and suspense and a little mystery surrounding it. Before we get into that, I just want to say thank you for my new subscribers. I see that there are some out there, and I appreciate each and every single one of you. I always say, if you like my channel, please like and subscribe because I can do more content. How that works is, the more thumbs up I get, the more subscribers I get. I end up in the YouTube logarithm or algorithm or some kind of rhythm that promotes this channel, so more and more people see it, and I end up with more subscriptions. So that's great. I do this channel because it's what I love doing, and I'm going to keep on doing it. I don't have that many subscribers, but who I do have, I greatly appreciate. And anytime you want a specific kind of content, please feel free to like and put in the comments what you're looking for. In the meantime, let's talk about the album that I was going to, I teased about on Monday. This is from a band from 1987 is when they started, and they hit the scene like an explosion. Everybody knew who they were, and everybody loved them. The band I'm talking about is Guns N' Roses. How do you go wrong with Axl, Slash, Izzy, Duff? I mean, you had a fantastic band that was redefining rock and roll at that time. A little bit sleazy, a little bit LA, a little bit drugs, a little bit sex. You had your standard rock and roll. Your bands like Motley Crue and Metallica and Van Halen. They exploded on the scene in the early 80s and mid 80s. But then you had Axl Rose with his, police siren scream and screeching that just was amazing, and still is to this day. Obviously, they're a big band because, before this whole COVID thing was going on, they were still on tour. They were going around the world again. One of the biggest money-making tours of all time, I believe. Was it Not in This Lifetime tour? And then they changed over to something else because it just kept on going. Pretty incredible. A pretty incredible band. You had Appetite for Destruction, and you had the Spaghetti Incident, and you had There Are Lies album, and you had Use Your Illusion 1 and Use Your Illusion 2. And then they were supposed to come up with another album. And that was in 93. No album. In fact, they were constantly being asked by MTV and other music authorities, when are you going to do another album? When are y'all together? Is there a problem? And there was a constant, no, we're working up, we're taking breaks, we'll get back to it. 94 came, 95, 96, 97, no album. Lots of rumors. You had Slash leave the band. You had Izzy leave the band and Duff leave the band. You had a wholesale turnover of Guns N' Roses. And then at one point, you even had Slash come back, and only to leave again because he didn't feel like people were listening to him. And he went off on his side project, did Slash's Snake Pit, which probably should have been some of the new Guns N' Roses albums, Guns N' Roses songs on a new album. But Slash and Axl could never get together on it. So Slash took those songs and went and did his own thing. And there you have Axl, who is looking for a new band. And Axl's kind of going in a different direction. He's had some heartache. He's gone through, his relationships with people he cares about deeply, bad breakups. And it really did a number on him, I think. Between that and Guns N' Roses breaking up, probably was just looking at articles and even listening to his music post that time period. it obviously had a big impact on him. And it wouldn't be many years before Slash and Axl and the band got back together again in its original form. But Axl kept plugging along, saying that he was going to do an album. The studio kept pumping money into him. He went on a period of time where he enjoyed industrial music. He started following Nine Inch Nails and liked Nine Inch Nails, and he thought maybe that's the direction Guns N' Roses was going to go in at one time. You know, so there's so much going on. And eventually you end up with a band being created through Axl with members from Nine Inch Nails. You had people from Marilyn Manson that came in, guitarists. You have Buckethead, who came in and did what Buckethead does. I mean, Buckethead is an amazing guitar player. I mean, the man put out 100 albums in 1 year alone. I mean, what is that about? Just an odd guy anyway. I mean, anybody's going to wear a KFC bucket on their head. But they brought him in. I mean, they built a chicken coop for him in the studio so he could work because he feels safe in a chicken coop. Hey, these are musicians. They do what they do. We like them because they're eccentric and a little odd, and they put out some really impassioned music. So you get what you get with musicians, I guess, creative people in general. But the album I'm talking about, the album that they did, the songs go all the way back to 1993. There's lots of recordings, lots of studio time that has been rented that Axl never shows up for. Lots of band members who leave that have recorded songs and pieces of songs. And I mean, basically from 1993 to 2008. That's a long time before an album is released. And the public is just clamoring every year for when's the new Guns N' Roses album coming out. I think they could have released the most amazing album on the face of the planet. But the fact of the matter, the expectations of people were so high it wouldn't have mattered. People would have still looked at it and gone, it's not that great. Not only that, but when you have a wholesale band turnover, things are going to change a little bit. So what happens is the record company spends roughly $13 million. That's a lot of cash to create an album. And even Axl comes back and says, I need some more money. And they said, well, you want more money? Dump it in yourself. It's on you to finish this album. Well, eventually he does. I mean, he went through tons of producers. He went through Youth. He went through Moby. Moby as a producer of a Guns N' Roses album. That makes me want to scratch my head a little bit. But he went through about 5 different record producers. Well-known names. Countless guitar players. Countless, drummers and bass players. And makes your head spin. In the end, what do we get? We get this. Appetite. No, I wish it was Appetite for Destruction. It's the Chinese Democracy. This is Guns N' Roses, Chinese Democracy. I've got the copy. This is Best Buy because there was an exclusive Best Buy. It's the only place you could buy it. When they were releasing this album, they made a deal with Best Buy that they could be the only ones that would sell it. So in order to buy this album, you had to go to Best Buy. The album didn't do as good as everybody thought it would. It's a good album. It's a really good album. Of course, I'm looking at it in reverse. Had I got this album when it came out, and I didn't get this album when it came out. I didn't listen to this album when it came out. I was at a different point in my life. I thought Guns N' Roses was over with. And I couldn't imagine listening to a Guns N' Roses album without Slash, or the other original members. So I just kind of never bought it, never listened to it. And it would be probably 5 years, maybe longer, before I actually listened to the album. And my first go was like, it's okay, it's nothing special. And you got to realize too, a lot of the songs have been leaked. over the years. Actually, my understanding had completed all the vocals in 1999. It was just a matter of mixing everything together and putting it all in the right arrangements that Axl felt comfortable with. That's why he went through so many producers. But, you know, I heard bits and pieces of songs over the years. You know, I think they released IRS and actually the title track Chinese Democracy. And you got little bits and pieces of it. And I wasn't that impressed because, you know, I was a big fan of Slash, big fan of Guns N' Roses, and I couldn't imagine them coming out with something without those band members. Well, take this back a couple of years ago, and I hadn't thought about Chinese Democracy album at all until a couple of years ago. And I managed to pick it up. And I listened to it, and I was like, this is way better than I remember it. And one of the things I wanted to go through with you is I wanted to go through some of the tracks with you. And I wrote some notes down because I said, well, you know what? I haven't listened to it in a while. So I'm going to sit down, I'm going to listen to the tracks and tell you my notes on what I thought on each one of the tracks. So here we go. The first track is Chinese Democracy. I said it had a good solid guitar riffs. It was a very Guns N' Roses sound. It reminds me of something like the song "You Could Be Mine." Heavy guitar, has a nice opener. It was a really good Guns N' Roses song. Robin Finnick and Buckethead guitar solos were on it, and it was very good, polished song. And one of the things going through these songs on this album that I will say, I compare a lot of these songs to Use Your Illusion 1 or Use Your Illusion 2. I don't compare it to the Lies album because you had only a limited number of original Guns N' Roses songs and you had some covers and some just okay stuff, some live stuff that they did. And then the Spaghetti Incident was a lot of covers too. But then you go back to Appetite for Destruction. Honestly, the band was in a completely different space than it was, or is now, or ever will be again. They were hungrier. They were more strung out on drugs. And they were younger. So obviously you're going to get a different album out of Appetite for Destruction than you would from any other time that they do. I don't think they're ever going to go back and capture what they did on Appetite for Destruction. I just don't think that they're ever going to be able to do that. But kind of using Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 as a standard for them because they evolved into that. And this Chinese Democracy album is more of an evolution again. And if you look at it as it's an evolution of Guns N' Roses and it's not the same Appetite for Destruction and that's not what you're expecting, then you can go at this album and enjoy it. I use a lot of the songs on here and compare them to different songs on Use Your Illusion because to me that's kind of like the standard of where they were when they last released something. So I feel like that's the closest you're going to get to being able to define Guns N' Roses. So I said Chinese Democracy was more like Use Your Illusion, you know, the song from the Terminator 2 movie. Not Use Your Illusion. I'm sorry. It's You Could Be Mine off of Use Your Illusion 2, I believe. The Blue album, I believe it's on that one. But really good. I mean, the guitar work on it is really good. Buckethead does a great job with it. It sounds like Guns N' Roses. That's why I said it sounds like You Could Be Mine. The next one is Shackler's Revenge. And this is what I said. I said it has an industrial feel. Remember I said Axl Rose was really kind of into Nine Inch Nails and this industrial feel for a while. And I think that this song is where it really picked it up. So it has industrial feel for Guns N' Roses. It's both lyrically and structurally. It could have been on Use Your Illusion 1 right after the song The Garden because it just has that feel. That would fit along with Use Your Illusion 1 and that, you know, if you look at the track list, the song The Garden on there and you go right into that area, You could insert Shackler's Revenge, and I think it'd fit in just fine. But it's, like I said, it's got a little more of an industrial feel, more boom boom to it than some of the other Guns N' Roses stuff that you would see on Use Your Illusion or any of the other stuff. Next is Better. Excellent song. Excellent song structure. Lyrics are definitely Axl examining his relationships through a microscope. It's a hard-hitting song, and it's something that definitely could fit on Use Your Illusion 2, the Blue album. It just feels like that. But you definitely run into the aspect of Axl, with his bleeding heart and his relationships that have failed, and examining that. So that one for sure. Next is Street of Dreams. It's a good ballad, good opening. Once again, Axl's heartbroken. You can see it on display. The song definitely misses Slash, but it's well served by the guitar work that's on it. And it was originally called The Blues when it was first recorded, and it actually was leaking around. But they changed the title of the song right before the record was released to Street of Dreams. I actually love the song. I think it's one of the best songs on there. It's one of my favorite songs. Other people will tell you, it's garbage. Everybody has their opinion. Everybody, has a certain kind of way they feel about different songs. Street of Dreams, I find myself with words for that song constantly running around in my head, and I find myself singing it a lot here the last couple of weeks since I've been listening to this new album. So that kind of sticks with me, Street of Dreams. So let me know what you think if you happen to listen to this album. The next one is If the World. And this is one of those songs that's very James Bondish. It has a slow, sexy beginning with a jazzy, bluesy feel. It was actually featured in the movie Body of Lies with Leonardo DiCaprio and Russell Crowe. It has a mellow tone to it with a big industrial feel. But I will tell you, it's Axl at his screechiest screeches, is what I said. It's still a good song. It kind of reminds me of the song So Fine off of Use Your Illusion 2. And it has that feel to it. And then let's see, what did I say? The last little thing is, I love the arrangement and the guitar work. It's a really good song. And I feel that way. I mean, it is a really good song. One of the things I'll tell you, I'll wait till the end and I'll discuss a little bit more about, but I don't want to take up 5 hours going through every single song, and let's just keep going so I don't run out of time. All right, so next, There Was a Time. Obviously a time. A little anger from Axl about past relationships and realizing too late some are not meant for others. Some people are not meant for others. That's the theme of the song. Lyrically, the song flows with a passion, and the musical structure is strong, building. This song seems less industrial and fits more into the Use Your Illusion 1 category. Very solid guitar play. Very solid song. I enjoy it. It's really nice. Then we get into Catcher in the Rye, which is the next song. Not a bad song. Lots of na-na-nas and oohs and stuff like that. Guitar work's really good. Axl has very clean vocals. Lyrically, it's not anything special until the outro. When the whole song is going out. That's where the most of the power of this song is. But it overall still feels like a Guns N' Roses song. Next is Scraped. And I wrote right next to it, it's the first weak song on the album. Heavy guitar riff, prominent drums and hi-hats. It's the most industrial feel track on the entire album. Lyrics are not very deep. It's just surface angst, don't stop me. It's a good song, but it's not great. You can tell it's a Guns N' Roses song, but it's not a good one. I would listen to it. I did listen to it. I've listened to it several times, but it's not that great. So what I would recommend is they ought to go back to the studio and do a little remixing on it. I think it would be great, because it is Guns N' Roses, but I think that that's what it would take, is a little remixing. But I'm not in Guns N' Roses, and I'm not Axl Rose, so, you know, if he was watching this, he'd probably tell me a few four-letter words and tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. It's probably what he's thinking if he ever saw this. Not that he will, but anyway. Next is Riyadh and the Bedouins. A lot of people have a problem with that name, even saying it. It's Riyadh and the Bedouins. Heavy song about war and secrets. Supposedly a song about Axl's ex-brother-in-law, which is Aaron Everly's brother, who supposedly inspired the song Civil War on Use Your Illusion. It's one of my least favorite songs on the album. Kind of reminds me of Perfect Crime off of Use Your Illusion 1. Just a lot of stuff going on, from feedback sounds to industrial pulse and strobe sounds. Not to mention, it has a very awkward chorus of Riyadh and the Bedouins. I mean, it's kind of hard to write a song about Bedouins. I mean, to use that as your chorus, it's kind of a head scratcher. But hey, I'm not the one making millions of dollars releasing albums, right? Just a mouthful. It just really is. And I put on here, Riyadh and the Bedouins, just a mouthful. Insert Michael Scott joke if you're an Office fan. Anyway, next comes the song Sorry. Excellent power ballad. Lyrics are strong. Guitar solo work fits with a kind of a hunting, bluesy feel. Perfect tempo for a very melancholy song. Rumors are the song's about Slash and some of the fans, or all about Slash, or all about the fans. One of the two, or a mix of the two. It's basically saying, sorry, no, I'm not. It exposes the gaping wound that Axl has, and you see the music in this, that his music is catharsism on display for all to see, because he definitely feels some kind of way in these lyrics, and you can see it because he's really giving it to whoever this song is about. It's a good song. I like the song. Yeah, I'll find myself, once again, lyrics coming back to me, humming it as I'm going, you know, driving or talking to people or walking around. I find myself singing this song. So it is something that is an impressive song. So next, IRS. I don't know if you can see this. These are my notes. See what it says right there? Second week song. Not a fan. IRS, I mean, if you're going to sing something, I get it. I get what it's a metaphor. It's a metaphor for the person who took everything from you, the IRS, you know, and in his case, it's the girl who stole all of his internal feelings and emotional and, you know, social emotional being, however you want to say it, but that's the IRS. The song, slow to power opening, good lyrically opening, but the first guitar solo is very clumsy. It's muddled. Second guitar solo is okay. Lyrics are good and strong structure, but the guitar work is very forgettable. This song has tons of potential, just gets lost with the poor guitar play for me. The song that might fit the closest to an Appetite for Destruction song, and that's true. I get that the IRS is a weird thing to put in for lyrics. And if you really look at the lyrics, though, and you look at the structure of that song, it probably really is to an Appetite for Destruction song that you're going to find. The problem is the mixing of the song and the poor guitar work. If they had mixed the song and restructured or arranged it just a little bit more, I think this song, had they spent more time working with it, could have been something that they could have hung their hat on. Unfortunately, it falls flat because of the guitar work, but I think it's still a salvageable song later on if they ever go back and look at it and say, hey, look, let's do some arrangements and change some stuff. And I think you're going to find that it could go as hard and as impactful as Appetite for Destruction album. So we'll see if that ever happens. But in the meantime, suffers from the guitar play for me. I think, though, it has the potential, if you were going to put it on Appetite for Destruction with some changes, it would fit somewhere in between Out to Get Me and Mr. Brownstone. But the arrangement and the guitar work just kills it. Next song is Madagascar, kind of a Bourne Identity opening, if you've ever watched those movies. Slow spyish feel, kind of similar to, what was the name of that one again? My brain has exploded. If the World. But it kind of reminds me of that opening. Very solid song, message of anti-racism and hatred, or anti-racism and anti-hatred, not anti-racism and hatred. So it's anti, okay? It could be a theme song to 2020. I mean, look at what's going on. I mean, this really could be a theme song to 2020. Song could definitely go on Use Your Illusion 2 without a doubt. I mean, as is, boom, you could put it on there. Strong guitar work and arrangement, as well as there's definite fingerprints of Use Your Illusion 2, the Blue Album, all over it. If you just listen to it, you could just say, wow, yeah. If I didn't tell you that it was on Chinese Democracy and I told you, guess where this would be, you'd probably guess it would be on Use Your Illusion album. It's good. It's that good. Next, This I Love. Intense love song, very stripped down with a haunting guitar solo. Definitely another song that Axl works his romantic feelings out in. It's lyrically strong, but I don't know if it's in the right position on the album. And that's something I'm going to talk about in just a minute. It's kind of down rather than pumped up. If albums have a strong, let's see, what did I say? Album, last song seems, this one and the last song, this song and the last song kind of let the listener down rather than being pumped up. You know, when you listen to an album, you want things to flow together, and then you don't want to leave the listener, at least me, and most of the albums that I really like, you don't want to leave the listener on a flat note, you know, where we have had all this up-tempo music, and all of a sudden, here we go, last two songs in the album, and it's just depressing, sad, romantic. Oh, I don't know what to do. Instead, you want to be fist-pumping and going, yeah, let's start the record over again and listen to this. And these last two songs don't do that. At the end of this album, I feel like I'm Eeyore on Winnie the Pooh going, nobody likes me. Oh, poor Pooh. Yeah. Because the next song, while both of these are good songs, don't get me wrong, the next song is The Prostitute, or just called Prostitute. It's a really good song. It's just out of place. Shouldn't be the last track on the album. It has a symphonic sound to it. He obviously went out and they hired, the symphony to go along with it, which is really cool. Buckethead has some screaming guitar work on it. It's definitely a Guns N' Roses song from the get-go, and it could slip right into Use Your Illusion 2 without a problem. But it's out of place. In fact, most of the songs on the album are out of place. Now, people are going to look at me and go, what are you talking about? Well, if you look at the tracks and what I went through, and this is the back of the album, and there's the track list. The track list itself, they didn't put much thought into it, I don't think, because I sat down this weekend, Saturday I sat down and I went through my Spotify, and I rearranged these songs. And I put them in an order in which they flowed so much better. And I found myself, I called it Chinese Democracy Reimagined. And I found myself listening to that version over the actual version that was released. And I noticed it was on Spotify. I know this is a vinyl records channel, and I'm talking about Spotify, which is not vinyl. But when I take an album that I like this Chinese Democracy, and I can readjust the tracks, Spotify then becomes a wonderful little tool. Of course, I'm still going to listen to this on my turntable and still love every second of it. But honestly and truthfully, the tracks that are on the album are out of place. What I'm going to do is I'll put a list of the tracks so you can see, in my opinion, how they should flow. And what I'll do is, I think I can do this. I'll see what happens. I'll try to put a link in the description for my Spotify and my playlist. And that way you can click on my Spotify playlist and see what you think about how I reorganized Chinese Democracy, and let me know. Let me know if you think what I did was decent and it sounds way better, or nope, it stinks, it still sucks, and you don't know what you're talking about. Let me know that too. But either way, I think this album, Guns N' Roses, Chinese Democracy, I think is a good album. Regardless of the tracks and how you get it, it's definitely worth getting and definitely worth listening to. So I highly recommend you take some time, go find the album. It's not expensive. It really isn't. I mean, you can probably buy this album for like $24 on Discogs, or, I mean, I haven't ever seen it out in public anywhere, but there are tons of copies out there because at one time Best Buy couldn't sell them. And they were actually, I believe at one time they were buy one, get one free, and they even marked them down to like 50 cents to $1 is what I've been told, to just get rid of them because they had so many. So they're out there and you can find them. You just have to look. In the meantime, I hope you enjoyed what I talked about today. I appreciate you tuning in once again to Vinyl Grooves, and I look forward to seeing you again next Sunday. Please, if you like what I've been talking about, please comment. Let me know. Let me know what you want to see. Let me know if you think that the playlist I put together makes sense to you, or it just doesn't. Either way, I want to know. But if you like what I've been doing, give me a thumbs up, like and subscribe, turn a little bell notification on, and I'll be right back at it again next Sunday. And in the meantime, I hope you go find Guns N' Roses, Chinese Democracy, and I catch you listening to some great music. Bye-bye.